Hi everybody, my name is Danielle Nicole and welcome to Monetary Makeup. So I think we all can agree that Lisa Eldridge created some of the most beautiful lipsticks on the market, especially at the time when they came out. Her matte formula is just absolutely stunning. And she recently released some new items in her holiday 2022 collection, one of which are these new 6-pan eyeshadow palettes, so I just had to test it out for myself. Now, because this is Lisa's first eyeshadow formula, I decided to just pick up one to get started. So the palette I picked up is called Sorcery. Now, I must say, now that I'm actually holding this palette in person, it is quite small. However, I really do appreciate the nice gold packaging. And on the back, we have the name of the palette as well as the 6 different shades. So I'm going to create a look using this palette today, and don't worry, I will show you up close swatches as well as what the palette looks like up close. So if you're excited to see how the new Sorcery Lisa Eldridge palette performs and enjoy the video while you're watching, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up, and let's get started right now. Now you do get 5.4 grams of product, and this palette does retail for 68 US. It is on the pricey side, so I'm really curious to see if the formula stacks up to the price. Now, one of the first things I noticed immediately upon opening this palette, while it is, yes, quite small, these shades look absolutely stunning. I just wish I was able to show this palette to you all in person. The shades just look so sparkly, so beautiful. Some of the shades appear to have a beautiful shift. I am going to insert another clip in different lighting, that way you can see just in another way. Alright, I am so excited to dive right in. First, let me share with you the swatches of these 6 different shades. This palette is just so beautiful in person. I almost don't even want to dip my fingers in here, but I am curious to see what these shades look like swatched out. First shade, Troubadour. Hopefully I am saying that correctly. This is a seamless matte. This felt incredibly smooth, very buttery, at least upon the swatch, and it appears to be a deep forest green, a matte. Next shade, Grotto, a metallic. Next shade, Madrigal, a metallic. Next shade, Mercurial. Now this is actually a duochrome. I was not expecting that, so very excited to see what this looks like on the eyes. Wow, look at that shine. Next up, Mage, another metallic. Last shade, Swan Song, which is another metallic. Wow, look at that beautiful blue. So here are the 6 shades up close. So we had the matte, the rest are all metallics except for the duochrome. Every single one of these shades felt very smooth and very buttery. Super excited to get these on the eyes. Alright, so being that I am so fair, one of the things that I often struggle with is with the highlight shades. They usually do not show up on my skin tone. If you are also fair tone, let me know if you also struggle with that. So we're going to work a little bit backwards today. I'm dying to see if the shade Mage, which is this one right here, I want to pop that on the inner corner first just to see if it will show up. This is the Morphe V200 brush. Morphe actually recently came out with some new brushes that are sold at Ulta. So let's give this brush a try first. So I know this part's going to be a little bit difficult to see, but just putting it on the inner corner and a little bit on the lower lash line. Alright, so just as I suspected, unfortunately, the lightest shade in this palette, I don't really think it highlights the inner corner of my eye, but that's okay. We will move on to a new shade. Now, the one thing I do want to point out is that there is no transition shade in this palette. So if I were to use this palette in real life, I would probably just grab another palette or a bronzer shade or something of that sort. and use a transition shade in combination with this palette. But for reviews, I just like to use the shades that are included in the review. That way you can actually see what kind of looks you can create without any other colors. So that's what we are going to do today. First shade, Grotto. So I'm just popping the shade Grotto on the outer half of the lid. This is such a beautiful color. And the shine, you guys, can you see how beautiful that shine is? You know, I was actually expecting the shade to be much darker than it is. I wouldn't say it's a topper because it has more color than that. But wow, look at that shine. All right, next let's dip into this beautiful kind of rusty gold green. And this again was called Madrigal. So I just picked up a bit of Madrigal on the middle finger. And let's apply this to the inner half of the lid. Sometimes this can get a little bit messy with the finger, but we'll make it work. Wow, that is also beautiful. So I'm actually going to take these two shades up above where my natural crease is, just to give the appearance of a bigger eye, and also because I don't have a transition shade laid down. You guys, I feel like we're moving pretty fast, but these are very easy to work with. All right, I just grabbed a bit more of the first shade I went in with, just cleaning up around the edges a bit, adding a bit more. All right, so the one thing I am noticing when I went back in with the brush, it started to remove some of the pigment. So I'm gonna go back in with my finger. I just think that these shades are going to work much better with your finger as opposed to a brush. So I'm just gonna lay down a little bit more on the outer corner. All right, so this formula is really exciting me. It's almost like a putty. I'm going to show you guys up close. So take a look at Grotto, which again was this one right here. So can you guys see that dent in the middle? It's almost like a putty formula. This is so easy to just plop on with the fingers. I don't think this would take much time at all if you were in a hurry. All right, next I have to dip into the duochrome, which was called Mercurial. Again, hopefully I am pronouncing these shades correctly. Now this shade is beautiful. The one thing I noticed when I swatched it, it's a little bit thinner in texture than the other metallic shades. And again, this is a duochrome. So it almost is like a topper with just a little bit more pigment than that. So can you guys see how thin this formula is? So let's apply it to the center of the lids, just to give it a bit of shine. Oh, wow. Look how much shine that's giving. I am here for the sparkle and the shine. All right, so I know my bangs look funny, but can you see the difference with adding the duochrome to this eye and it's not on this one yet? All right, listen. When I initially swatched that duochrome, I was a little bit disappointed inside because my expectation with those types of very thin formulas, it initially, don't get ahead of me, but it initially reminded me of ColourPop. Some of their shades, when you go in to actually pick up the pigment, when it deposits on the lids, all you're really getting is just a little bit of sparkle, but there's no color. Kind of like how in Wayne Goss, you know, the bottom right shade that he typically has, it just adds a little bit of sparkle. But no, no, no. With this duochrome, this adds so much shine. Now, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I would say it's up there with Pat McGrath. Next shade, Swan Song. Apply this to the lower lash line. I think I'm going to go about 2/3 of the way in. All right, so interesting enough, Swan Song, that picked up perfectly with a brush, deposited the color almost like a matte, even though it's a metallic. So what I'm noticing so far is that each of the shades in here, they are a different formula. I haven't looked it up, however, they all appear to be giving just a different texture. All right, next shade called Mage. All right, so let's plop Mage on the inner third of the lower lash line. These are very easy to work with. All right, so Mage is also picking up very nicely with a brush. So those are the 2 shades so far. I would not mind using a brush with in the future, but the other ones just seem to be more of finger shades. All right, next let's dip into the Duochrome. I want to see if that shade will show up a bit better as an inner corner highlight. And I might need a different brush, but we'll see. Yeah, I think I need a different brush. 1 second. Yeah, that is going to work out much better. I will show you guys up close in just a minute. All right, I am so happy I decided to go in with the Duochrome as an inner corner highlight, but we do need to add a bit of dimension to the outer corner. So next, let's go in with the shade Troubadour. I'm sure I'm mispronouncing that. So that is the matte green. Wayne Goss number 7. I love this brush because it's so small. And when you have hooded eyes or deep set eyes, it just makes adding a deeper outer corner much easier. So many brushes are just too big for this area for me, so this is perfect. All right, I was a bit worried I was going to be getting a ton of fallout with really all of these shades. And the only one that I am noticing just a significant amount of sparkle was the Duochrome, but the rest of them, I'm not really seeing much. All right, let me add a bit of mascara and we'll be right back so you can see the final look and get into my final thoughts. All right, you guys, so I am back. I just applied a little bit of mascara. So what do you guys think about this eyeshadow from Lisa Eldridge? Let me come in up close so you can actually see the shadow. All right, you guys, so here's the deal. I have not been this excited about a new eyeshadow formula in quite some time. Each and every one of these shades blended out so smooth, but the way they sit on the eyes, the shine you get, and the actual texture of each of these shades just blew me away. I am so happy. Out of all of the palettes, I decided to go with Sorcery. I'm really hoping that she brings these palettes back next year. If I'm not mistaken, I think they are currently sold out, but if they are not, I will link them down below for you all. Now, you guys know I usually don't take price into account when giving my reviews because everyone's definition of what's affordable, not affordable, worth the price is different. So I'm just here to report on the actual formula, the color story. Now, as I mentioned, I am completely blown away. However, I do have to say just this time, I do think because of the amount of product you get, I just think it's a bit overpriced. But that said, now that I have these shadows on the lids, I've had a chance to play with each and every one of the shades, I couldn't be more happy with my purchase. So let me know down below, have you guys picked up any of these new Lisa Eldridge palettes? If you did, let me know what your experience was. Did you like it? Did you not? Did you pass on these? Let us know all of your thoughts down below. All right, you guys, well, I do hope this review was helpful for you guys. If you did enjoy the video, please don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. Thank you so much for spending your time with me, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Bye, guys.